Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to episode 60 of the X Button Gaming Podcast. I cannot believe we are already at 60 episodes, but yet here we are, and people still seem to listen at least some of the time, so we'll keep going. So what we have for you today is the Collector's Edition episode. We had a little bit of a last-minute shift. There was going to be another guest on, but due to some scheduling issues, he had to reschedule. But Jaden is still here with me.
Hello, boyos.
I started to say like 6 things and then didn't finish any of them.
It's like, was that my window? Misa back.
Oh, yes, Jar Jar. No, thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, happy to be on.
I'm happy to have you here.
Anytime. I'm happy to be on anytime. Last second, planned months in advance. I'll be there, man.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. And it was already kind of last minute because the guest that was going to come on last minute said that they could make it, and then like I said, there were some issues, but Jaden still pivoted with me, and we came up with a different topic to talk about, and I think it'll be fun. Like I said, it's going to be a collector's edition episode, so we'll be talking about a collector type theme. But before that, let's go ahead and start off by talking about some of our recent pickups and the one-ups and pickup section. And you know what? I'll go first.
Right on.
I don't go first very often.
You never let yourself go first. Come here and treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
What you got?
Let's see here.
What have you treated yourself with lately?
All right, so I treated myself okay. These are going to be like the local store pickups. So first things first, I went to Super Smash Games. So I don't know if you've been there. There's one in Tacoma and there's one down in Olympia.
I think, there was one a little bit south from here.
Yeah.
That's probably Olympia, right?
Yep.
I think I've been to that one.
That's the one where I went to, actually, because there's a Half Price Books outlet right next door.
Yeah. Okay, I've definitely been there then.
So we like to go to that because you can find some good deals there sometimes, cheap books or movies and stuff. But then, since I was there, I was like, I'll go into Super Smash Games, see if I can't find anything. And I didn't find any games, but they had some UMD movies, which I like to buy, even though I don't watch them that often.
They're always so cheap, even at like retro game stores.
Oh, yeah. And that's what these were. They were $5 and $3, respectively. So the first one I got was Serenity. Have you ever seen Serenity?
Serenity? No, I have not.
Well, you're missing out, because this was one of the 2 best sci-fi movies to come out in 2005. Whether or not, Revenge of the Sith was your favorite or
gotcha.
Serenity was your favorite is up for debate. A lot of people, so when this movie came out, I had not, so have you heard of Firefly?
Yeah.
So this is the sequel movie to Firefly.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of helps.
So I have some homework to do before I would watch that.
So I watched this before I ever watched the show.
Really?
Because I didn't even know it was a sequel, but my friend Alex, as everybody knows from the podcast, was a big fan. Actually, I don't know if he'd watched the show yet either, but I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, I guess, Alex, but I don't remember if it was that he'd heard the movie was good and wanted to watch it, or he watched the show and wanted to see the movie. Either way,
you're a good friend to
exactly
check it out.
And I was blown away. I thought this movie was fantastic. So then I went back and watched Firefly and was like, it gave me even more background to the characters. But I love Serenity. It's fantastic sci-fi movie. So for $5 on PSP,
can't go wrong.
Like, I've actually made it a habit now where sometimes when Jasmine goes to bed early, I'll put a movie in my PSP and like set it up on the side
like
there,
times.
and I'll watch that while I'm like playing something else or something. Like,
nice.
like a
that's
true.
Cool.
True cool kid watching movies on his PSP while playing video games elsewhere. Then the other movie I got is an anime. I've never seen it, but it's called Steam Boy. It was from the director of Akira, apparently, and it features the voices of Anna Paquin, who was Rogue in X-Men, Alfred Molina, who was Doc Ock, and Patrick Stewart, who was Professor X. Look at that. We got a whole Marvel crew here.
I knew the majority of those people.
I would think that they probably have done a lot more than those movies that I just named, but those are the ones that I know them from.
Awesome.
And Star Trek. But so I've never seen this, but I was like, for $3, like, it's anime.
Oh my goodness.
I'll watch it on my PSP.
I would have grabbed that. I remember seeing the trailer for that movie in particular a lot in the Godzilla DVDs I had. It came out around the same time. 2004, I think, would have been the...
Yeah, that's what it says here, 2004.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that brain of yours, working overtime.
It's working.
This one even has extra languages. I can watch it in English, Japanese, or French.
How do they fit that all on a
I don't know. Speaking
little
of,
compact disc?
Serenity, actually, I was going to mention this and then I got distracted. Serenity actually has bonus features.
Oh my.
You could watch What's in Firefly. See how Zoic Visual Effects Studios helped bring Joss' unique vision to the big screen and relighting the Firefly. The story of how a television show gained enough of a cult following to become a major feature film. There you go.
I missed out on I didn't have a PSP at the time, and I was always envious of the ability to watch a movie on a portable. That's so cool.
I probably did it more than most people. Like I watched the 6 or 7 movies I had all the time.
I'm the type of guy to have probably been the same way. Like I think I would have done that. Well, also guy. I was a really young boy at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. Maybe I'll have to borrow those and watch those for my first time.
Oh, for sure.
My PSP.
If you wanted to, why not? It's a fun way to watch it.
Sure.
Like I said, it's
novelty.
Maybe not the best way to watch a lot of things, but it is the fun way to watch a lot of things. Yeah. So, and it's crazy to me the quality too. Like it holds up quality wise as far as how small the screen is, at least. So yeah, those were from Super Smash games, and the rest of these are GameStop pickups. So, like I've said before, I sound probably like I'm a big GameStop stan. Like I just love GameStop. I just go to them a lot because I'm around them a lot.
And you put it really well that last episode. You're just like, they're pretty scummy, but also like there's you can find some really good deals sometimes. That's the only reason I enter.
Exactly.
Like, I don't really pre-order new stuff. I'm just like,
I rarely go there for like new games. I'm looking for their like maybe PS4 back, but like cheap stuff or deals that they might have. And that's what all this is things that I got on the cheap. So I'll do that one last because that's my favorite. So I went to one store the other day and I found Middle-earth: Shadow of War.
Oh.
So it's this steel book. I've never played this game. I would not claim
that price tag.
Yeah, that's why I bought it. So
yeah, of
it's a cool steel book.
Damn.
And then it's got all the like extra stuff in here, like all the little papers and like DLC stuff, the expansion pack. Like I don't know if all this stuff's been used or not. But that doesn't matter. I didn't buy it for that.
Worth it for $99.
Yeah.
$2.99 is the actual.
$2.99. Yeah, so $3, and it has a slipcover and everything. It is on Xbox One, which I don't even have an Xbox One, but I figured for $3 it doesn't matter. And then while I was there at that same store, they had the same steelbook for PS4, and so I was like, oh, well, why wouldn't I get it on PS4? And I looked, $15. I'm like, why is the same game $15?
Sony bias.
Yeah, I was like, that is so stupid. Like, luckily I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't buying it to play it anyway because I don't even have an Xbox One. But it's a really cool steelbook, and for $3, like, I don't know, I'm a sucker.
I wonder if there's even any differences between the steelbooks. Like, other than the outer sleeve?
No, it looked the same.
Yeah,
the sleeve itself would probably be different, but the other one didn't even have the sleeve, only this one did. So,
okay, yeah.
So, no, it's the exact same steelbook from what I could tell.
You did a smart there.
I thought that was cool, but then while I was checking out and they were like, let's make sure we have the game before you pay, I was like, well, they'd already found the other game I bought, or I was buying, so I was like, if you don't have it, I'll still pay $3 for the steelbook. That's the only reason I'm buying it. And they're like, oh, do you like steelbooks? Well, we have this steelbook that we can give you. And I was like,
haven't they heard?
You don't know. So I was like, heck yeah, I'll take a free steelbook. Turns out it was for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which I've never played. And I'm not a Call of Duty fan. But I was like, whatever, I'll take a free steelbook.
But that book is made of steel.
Look at it. Look at those two guys.
Wow.
Look at him. He's like, I'm doing something mischievous. And then this guy's like, I'm angry because I'm in the army. I don't know if that's what he's saying. He just looks angry. And he's obviously in the something.
It's a frustrating environment, I'd imagine.
I would think.
I haven't played. I don't know. I haven't played the games.
And then on the inside, you see that?
It's
a real sick skull with a snake slithering through it. It's like the 90s. That's
a real sick skull, not a real skull in there.
No, it's real sick.
That is pretty nasty. I wouldn't want a snake doing that
to my skull. Yeah, so that
maybe
was
once I'm dead.
Free steelbook that I'm not all that excited about, but I thought it was cool for free.
Oh yeah.
Okay, then a couple other quick GameStop pickups. I got Tricky Towers on PS4. Have you ever played this game?
It looks familiar. I was trying to think what I was. I think I was looking at that just out of curiosity. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. Did you see it at the Silverdale GameStop perchance? Because that's where I got.
I might have actually. I was there like a week ago.
Yeah, that's about. I bought it a little less tan a week ago.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
we were both looking at the same
for
thing.
work. That's funny. So yeah, this is a fun game. You can play it 1 or 2 players, but basically it's kind of like Tetris, where like the pieces are falling and you have to stack them together. But you're not trying to clear them. You're trying to build them precariously as high as you can to get to a clear line or something like that. When you're playing multiplayer, you're trying to stack them up against, do these combos and stuff so that your team, the person you're playing against, that their tower gets taller first and they lose or fall over or whatever. It's an interesting concept, but it's a fun game. I've played it a lot with my friend Nick over the years. And for $10, I figured why not.
Not bad.
Also, the Soadesco,
Oh yeah, I noticed that too.
I'm going for I wouldn't say I'm going for the full set of those, but like, I don't know what it is, but as far as publishers go, it seems like they publish a lot of really cool and interesting games. So when I see them, I tend to buy their games, even if I hadn't heard of them sometimes.
I think that's why it might have caught my eye. I'm trying to think, like, it's like, why did it catch my eye? Because it said Tricky on it. I'm like, oh no, I think it's probably the Soadesco logo. Like, I remember you saying a long time ago, your words echo in my head. Every time I see a Soadesco, I'm saying it different every time. Whenever I say their logo, I am like, okay, well, what is this? Let me.
What is this one?
They're also like always really cheap.
Yeah, and
from what I've seen.
I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of these games, it's not like they sell. Like this game was $10. Its price charting has it at 20. But a lot of the bigger thing with most of these games is there's never that many of them like on eBay or anything. They seem pretty uncommon a lot of the time. So I didn't look at this one, so I don't know how uncommon it is. It was just, for me, it was a no-brainer because for $10, and I like the game
and
already.
You like the game. Oh, yeah, dude.
So
you heard it here first, though, guys. Soadesco is the new Atlas.
Nobody else has said that, I'm sure. Yeah, people in 10 years, people are going to be like, man, I got a full Soadesco collection.
Soadesco, this game is so good, bro.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're totally buying them when they're coming out.
Bro. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's a weird thing, but I think it's a cool set to go for.
Yeah, they seem like interesting little games.
So then my last couple GameStop pickups, I got one of the PopCap Arcade volumes for 360. It's PopCap Arcade Volume 2.
Oh, okay.
So it was only $13, but I used my $5 coupon on that. It has Peggle, Feeding Frenzy 2, and Heaven Weaponry.
Whoa.
So I was like, or Heavy Weapon. I added weaponry, added an Uri to it. I've never played Peggle or any of these games, but this was one of those purchases that I made more because I was like, I know this is going for a lot more than that right now, and it's compilation of games. Oh. Yeah, I think it goes for closer to like 30 to 40 now.
Holy poop!
Yeah, holy poop!
I would have grabbed that. I'm keeping it PG. Keeping it G.
Heck yeah, that's like Y7. Mm-hmm. Wait, no, that's higher than G, isn't it? Early childhood.
I'm not gonna get. It's okay. We can keep going.
Anyway, so I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then last couple, I got 99 Nights, which is kind of like a Dynasty Warrior style game, but with a lot more of a story.
Was that at the Tacoma GameStop?
No, I got this like over in Kent, I think.
Gotcha. I think I've seen that one there.
Yeah, it's $10. This is definitely a game I've always wanted to play. So for $10, I figured why not? I'm not going to pass up on it. It looks pretty cool. And then my last pickup was Tales of Xillia on PS3. Nice. It's part of the Tales series, and I've played most of the Tales games, but I think there's 5 or 6 that I haven't played, and I have not played Xillia 1 or 2. I've never even owned them. So for $10, it was a quick, easy, no-brainer purchase for me. So
yeah, those Tales of games, every time I come across, they always catch my eye just because I guess anything that's like obscure Japanese game, I have to look at the price and just see like, okay, what is it? Because I have no idea with those games. You never know. I never know. But yeah, I'm surprised at how cheap those I always find them at. So I'm just like, is this a really good deal? No, it's just going for $11 right now. Okay,
yeah.
I'm always surprised.
$10 isn't much less than what it goes for, but it was in really good shape, so I went for it. But sure, yeah. I think it's just because the Tales games on like PS1 were super expensive. So they're like $200-$300 games, and then I think they gained a lot of popularity when Symphonia came out on GameCube, and then they got more mass printed than they had before.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, don't quote me on that. But yeah, you're right. They're never that expensive anymore. But yeah, so that's it for my first set.
Right on. Well, then I will lead with. I was playing, or my wife was playing, Link's Awakening for the Switch because she was in need of a new thing, a new game. And I was trying to look because I collect games. I have a whole bunch of games, and I'm trying to think like what would be up her alley. She likes Breath of the Wild. I got her into Zelda through that, and so I'm like, I think you'd like Link's Awakening. It has a really good story. It's really a beautiful story. Real quick, is your washing machine?
Oh, it's the dryer. There's something in it that's clinging.
Is that not going to be a issue?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll just I was trying to figure out what that was. I'm glad you figured it out. Anyway.
I just figured I'd fix it now in case of... Okay. And And so this is gonna be a really long-winded story. I'm going started. I remember there was a steelbook for Link's Awakening.
Oh yeah,
For
in,
like
in like Europe or something, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, why don't I have that steelbook? Well, first I didn't know it was only Europe. First, I'm just like, why didn't I get that when it came out? I'm so stupid. And so
You would have been if you hadn't gotten it.
yeah. And so I look up on Mercari because I just have just a bunch of credit just sitting there because I just sold a bunch of stuff and I'm just not buying. And I like to just keep the credit just hanging out there,
Accruing, yeah.
so that like if there is something that pops up, like, ooh, actually I need like this thing or what have you. I just whoop. The credit just goes directly towards it. I don't need to put it to my account or whatever. But anyway, so I just have this bunch like this credit sitting there. So I look up like how much is that steelbook going for these days, and I found one listing where it was just the steelbook for like I want to say like $40 or something. I'm like, that's kind of steep, but also that's the only listing I see anywhere. Or I think it was going for like more elsewhere, and I'm just like, why am I getting FOMO over this? But then I justify it. I'm like, well, I have this.
Have this money.
I
in
have
the
this
wallet
money.
on Mercari.
This is free technically for the stuff I sold. So like, okay. So I went for it. I got it. It's pretty. That's pretty cool. In case you haven't seen it before.
Oh, it's such a cool steelbook.
Yeah, and the back it has
Dude,
like.
that
little
is
Game
amazing.
Boy.
I haven't seen that. It has the textures in it to make it feel like a game.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so,
Why didn't we get this in America?
Right? Yeah. And so like.
Dude, that is cool. That is one of the coolest steelbooks I've ever seen.
I feel justified. It wasn't a total waste of money.
I'm not saying that, but I would waste my money on it too.
Oh no, yeah, it's a cool little thing. I'm like, man, like Link's Awakening is like one of my top favorite Zelda games. Like, why don't I have?
It's my number
thing.
It's close to my number one. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so good. And then
there is so much detail on this. That is nuts.
I know. So, and as I was like, Jesse was already playing the game at this point while this was getting shipped to me, or I think it already came to me. And then I was like second guessing myself, like, wait, was it just this steelbook? I was trying to look up like online, like what this was, it like a pre-order bonus or like a limited edition that cost more, or what was the thing behind it? Turns out it came with it was like a bundle, the Dreamers edition. It was like a whole nother edition. I'm like, oh, why did I just get this? Why I should have gotten the whole edition, the rest of the art book and all that stuff. I'm like,
you fool!
I'm an idiot. And so, but I got really lucky this one day because I was like, I gotta look. I look up like how much it's going for. It's going for like 100, a little over 100 for everything in there. I already have the steelbook. I already have the game. So like,
you just need the extras.
I just need the little extras. But while I was on Mercari, I think around that time, might have been the same time, I see a guy post the Breath of the Wild Explorer's Guide, which is, I'm like, I've completely forgot about. I think it was Walmart that was doing this, or Target. I could be wrong. One of those. And it's like a bigger box edition of the game, and you get this like thick book with it, which is essentially like the contents in it. You can flip through that if you want. It's like what a manual would have been had this game come out in like the early 2000s. And it was only for like $20.
Dude, that is $20?
Yeah. This box and the book in there. I'm like, I think that's a really good deal.
Yeah.
And so like I nabbed it real quick.
Dude, the art on this is stunning.
I know, right? And it's like, yeah, I was sad that I missed out on the the super whatever special edition for Breath of the Wild, whatever that one was called, with the
the Master Edition or
there was that one. Yeah, but I was looking at this. I'm like, this isn't a bad like, I'll take that.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. For like I love that game also like a lot. So
for sure,
I was happy to like grab that. I was like, oh sweet.
Yeah, that's super cool. I have wanted to get that. So there was Nintendo did 3 releases, not of Breath of the Wild, but that were like that Explorers Edition. Mm-hmm. They did one for Breath of the Wild, one for Mario Odyssey, and one for Splatoon 2, where they each came with that kind of a book, like with whatever in it. And like I kind of want to get that little subset of them because I think they're all really cool and not crazy expensive
Yeah.
yet. And I don't own Breath of the Wild anymore. Once I beat it, I sold it. But I've kind of wanted to go back and play it again because all the DLC came out and I've never played it and give it another chance. You know,
The DLC is just more of the game, but yeah, it's still more content. It's pretty cool.
yeah, no, that's super cool.
So, and I think I was recalling like by the time I've heard it, because when the Switch was coming out, I was just focused on getting the console, getting the game, you know, wham bam, like all together. A Pro Controller at launch was March 3rd, 2017.
2017.
I already had it all pre-ordered and everything. And so when I was seeing like these pop up on like Reddit or, you know, Walmart saying like, oh, hey, we'll have this edition here, or either this came out later or maybe it was at launch and I'm misremembering. I didn't do my homework.
This came out later.
They
this
did?
was like
Okay,
it was like
okay.
like a year later. Or
That
something.
makes so much more
Maybe
sense
even
because
more.
I think that must have been my reasoning because like I already have the game. I don't need to pay $60 for something I already have, you know? And so, yeah, I was just really happy to grab that. And then I was just watching that seller because I think he messaged me. And when he messaged me, I looked at his page again and he was like listing the other ones. So I did get the Mario. It was a toss up between this one
Yeah, I was spoiling
and
things.
Mario. So I'm handing Chris, the Mario Odyssey one. He also had the Splatoon one, but it was like, which do I like more as a game? And I'm like, I think I want to own the Mario Odyssey
yeah.
one. This one also same thing, just like really cheap. And again, this what is it called? Traveler's Guide, I think.
Yeah.
That's cute. That comes with a different name. Also comes with a really big book inside and with a big box.
Yeah,
So
that's super nice.
yeah, and so when he posted those, I'm like, oh, I think I might do that one too, because you can like bundle things on Mercari. I've never done it until at this point, and so I was messaging him back and forth, like, and he was like posting more, and so we're going back and forth. And then he said he has the Link's Awakening Dreamers Edition. And I'm like, oh, really? Do you? And so I got that as well.
Oh man, that's
Also
hilarious.
and so I explained to him my whole situation. I'm like, dude, I was just like looking up because I was kicking myself. I got the Steelbook. I already have the game because he was selling the game and the Steelbook and everything like in it.
Yeah.
He asked me like, so what should I like sell it for? And I'm like, and I was honest. I'm like, it's going for like 100. So, but he was like, yeah, but if I like take out the game and like take out the Steelbook, I'm like, oh, I'll give you
Like $5.
no, wasn't it? I could tell he was like around my age and he had a lot of video game stuff, so he knew his stuff. I was like, I'll give you 30. He was like, oh sure. I'm like, oh, okay, cool,
Let's go.
awesome. Also comes with like this art book, which is really pretty.
Yeah,
it's
it's a nice
different
art
than
book,
the yeah, and so
It's a hardbound one.
yeah, I kind of messed up the order in this story a little bit. It was Zelda, and then he posted that Zelda, Link's Awakening second, and then I was messaging him. And I think just because I mentioned like, oh man, I kind of want that Odyssey, but I don't know. I think I'll go with this one. Okay, then that's when he mentioned like he has, Link's Awakening. And so after this whole exchange, he was like, I could toss in Mario Odyssey for $5. How's that sound? I was like, oh, okay. And so like this dude, yeah, shout out to what's his name? A God Named Tay is his
God named Tay.
God Named Tay. Taylor? Or maybe his name's Tay. I don't know the username. Super sweet guy. The story's not over yet because like after this whole he made the bundle for me. He canceled my first order of the Breath of the Wild thing, and he relisted them so that I can add them to my cart bundle. Yada yada yada. Jane, this is boring. And so after all of it, total and he was messaging me. He's like, oh yeah, I'll send that out, and and just for getting all these things, I did a little DK Oldies thing and threw in a little something extra for you. I'm like, I always wanted the little extra something from DK Oldies.
That's all I
which
wanted
is so
from DK
nice.
Oldies.
And it was Twilight Princess manga
my
volume
gosh.
1. And I'm just like, dude, like I didn't know what it was until it came to me. And like it was shipped in the Starlink Battle for Atlas.
That's funny. You posted that, didn't you?
Yeah, it cracked me up.
Dude, that's hilarious. Dude, this is super cool too.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, how'd you know I like Zelda? I was like, oh, I had a hunch.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a real winner of a seller right there.
Yeah. And so we exchanged phone numbers because
that's cool.
he saw that I had recently sold Alice Madness Returns for 360. He's like, dang it. I wish he still had that. I would have taken it. So he is looking for like Xbox games. So we exchanged numbers, which is really hard to do over Mercari because they really don't want you sending emails or
They want you to stay there.
exactly. Well, I mean, I don't blame them for like the scammers and stuff because like
Yeah.
scammers will try to get you off of Mercari.
And they
get
put their
them-
numbers in there like, I'm trying to give away this 3DS
Yeah.
because my kid just was born.
Yeah.
You're like,
So I'm
okay, bro.
giving this to the first person to wish me happy birthday. Don't fall for that. Those are the worst people. So that was frustrating, but we found a way to to get our contact information. And so I told him about, my store, Collector's Haven. Take a shot every time I say Collector's Haven. And I was going to, keep him up to date. And so, that was my...
What an awesome
I
pickup.
was, just real happy about
You
that.
scored big.
Oh, yeah. Nice dude.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like a
He
real
hooked
nice
me
dude.
up.
Yeah, those are. I think those are really cool additions too. Like, I don't know. Like I remember when they came out at the point, like I was like, I don't need this.
Yeah, exactly.
But then after like a year passed, and then I was like, man, those are actually really cool. Now, like looking at them in person too, those books are really nice.
Yeah, and now now you're making me not total FOMO, but I'm just like, oh wait, Splatoon's the only last one. Like,
It's just the
maybe
three.
I should
Look at the full
I'd complete
subset.
the set. But yeah, so
No, that's awesome, man.
it.
And it's a good story too. It wasn't just a good pickup. There was a nice story
That was
behind
it.
it.
The super nice guy he gave me my DK Oldies extra bonus gift. I always wanted that. I didn't want to support DK Oldies though.
I know, right? I always think that it would be fun to get that, but yeah, DK Oldies sucks. All right, so that was that, right? Your first pickup.
Yep,
All right.
that's my.
So on to my next one. This one will be kind of quick. It was an OfferUp pickup. I don't do a lot of OfferUp these days because you can never find a good deal or
Yeah,
you're way
oh my
behind
goodness.
on them.
Okay, I thought it was just me. I'm like, man.
No, it's OfferUp is brutal. But so this was posted probably like 17 hours by the time I'd even seen it. And it was a lot of 360 games with a couple of OG Xbox games. And they were asking $25. And I was like, okay, so I looked through it real quick. Is there anything I want? And I saw Crash Twinsanity on the original Xbox, which Jasmine, I've mentioned before, really likes Crash Bandicoot. And there were two that she played growing up at her friend's house. And this was one of them. So
nice.
she was like really excited about the idea of getting this. So I was like, okay, that's one. And that's already worth close to the value of the lot. And then I saw Halo Anniversary, which was the remake of the first game. For 360, and I saw Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing on 360, which is the one that has Banjo-Kazooie on it, because the PS3 version did not have Banjo-Kazooie.
It's really cool. I'm gonna keep an eye out on that one.
Yeah, I think that's why I wanted this version, because it's cool that it comes with, you can write as, even though it's the ugly Banjo and Banjo-Kazooie.
Hey, Nuts and Bolts is a good game, I'll say.
I haven't played it. I do want to though, but I still think despite however good the game may be, I still think they're the ugly versions.
Oh yeah,
of
yeah. No,
Banjo-Kazooie.
that's the 360 era looking. Why do they gotta change? What? It's not broken. Don't fix it.
Yeah, it didn't need to be updated. Their eyes are a little scary.
Yeah. I haven't actually really played it, so I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I just remember playing it at a friend's house and it being fun, just making this dumb vehicle and driving.
No, you're not the first person I've heard say it's better than people give it credit for.
It's definitely not like as good as Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie or what have you. But
it's a completely different game. But I would think for a lot of fans of the series, it might be nice just to have something else in the universe. But that's not always true, so maybe I shouldn't say that. So these were in it. And then the other two that I kept from the lot were Halo 3 because I didn't have it, and My Hero 1's Justice 2, which is a real weird name, but My Hero Academia, which is an Xbox One game, which until I got that copy of Shadow of War was my first Xbox One game in my collection. So I added two Xbox One.
You're an Xbox One collector now.
Look at me go! I don't have the console yet, but I have the game.
When you do, you'll be
ready to go.
You are set.
I really like My Hero, the anime. So like I was like, yeah, I'll keep this.
Sure,
Makes
why
it
not?
worth it. I have the first game on PS4 and I don't really like it, so I don't know that I like the second one anymore. But I just get sick of the anime fighting games. Like I know
is
that
that what it
fighting
is?
is a big part of the show, but it lends itself well to being an adventure or like an action type game. But it's just
more of a experience than just the.
Just-
What is it? Is it?
it's
One
like
person on one side punching.
Yeah,
in the-
basic. It's like more like an arena based. So you have like
okay.
a room that you can kind of run around in. But anyway, so for $25, I kept these 5 games. So I mean, I guess in theory that equals $5 a piece. But then I had
You got a whole bunch of
a whole stack of other stuff that
leftovers.
I don't care to keep. Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Skyrim, Minecraft Story Mode, and Band Hero, plus a couple others. So I'll probably give some of those away, sell them if nobody wants them. But yeah, I figured for $25 I was getting 5 games that I wanted. So, well, 4 games that I wanted and one that I was like, yeah, I'll keep that.
right on, right on.
So,
Well, keeping it on brand with Xbox. I finally did acquire the
Ayo.
Dreamcast collection. I forgot if I talked about it in that Xbox
you did, yeah.
episode. And yeah, there's only 4 games on there. I made a correction.
There was no Choo Choo
I'm an
Rocket.
idiot. No Choo Choo Rocket. But yeah, you put this in your Series X, and it just downloads the patched versions of these games. And so you have the license to
play.
Sonic, Crazy Taxi.
So that's super cool. So, question: if you
Yeah.
took your Xbox offline and put the disc in, would it still just download them?
download. Oh,
Like off of because is it downloading them off the disc or is it going online and like?
I would like it if it just did the disc thing, but I want to say it's probably going to the store and seeing because the version that it downloaded is different than the 360 version, because this is like running at like even higher resolution or
Gotcha.
whatever. This is like, or I think.
No,
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure it did do a download.
I'd just be curious because then I have to wonder like this is a 360 disc. What'll it do when the store closes down and you can't buy the games anymore? Is it gonna if it downloads them? Does it recognize
Yeah.
that it already has the like? Is it telling it you already have the licenses and re-downloading it, or is it on the disc? I don't know.
I could uninstall it and try again.
I'm
but-
I'm curious to know.
I don't have hopes that it would be
Yeah.
on the disc. But I mean, if you plop that in a 360, you have the games on there.
Oh, they
for
are
sure.
on the disc if you play it on 360.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just it's
It doesn't say you need a hard drive to play it, so not that I'm seeing anywhere.
no, yeah. It's just because it was on Series X.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
It's like, oh, okay.
I got ahead of myself there then.
no, you're good. No, yeah, I do believe they are on disc, because that'd be kind of silly back then to print just a blank boot disc
Yeah.
to download the actual game. So
No,
got
that's a
that
good
guy.
pickup. I want that too, just because it would be cool to have the option to play Sonic Adventure and Crazy Taxi whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to play Space Channel 5? I've never played it.
I have no idea what that game.
I think it might be a rhythm game.
Oh, I think I might play that sooner then. I like my rhythm games. I
And then you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never played it.
I'm pretty sure it has something to do with music. At least. This is part 2. Ooh,
Well, now you're going to be
I'm
missing
gonna be
all the
lost if I
story.
haven't played part 1.
I didn't know there was a part 2
I
or
know.
a part 1.
It's like
Wait, hold on. Now
I'm learning a whole bunch of things. What is happening right now? Space Channel 5. Chris is looking it up. Let me try. Gundam rhymes with Fundum.
Good one.
Well, okay. Well, I'll just keep moving along. This isn't too. Cameo. Elements of Power 360.
Oh, it's a Rare game, right?
Yes. I think I was watching a video on just Rareware games or was it just on Xbox? I forget. That's not important. I saw this at Collector's Haven and I thought, why not? Same thing over there. I just have a bunch of credit just like stacked. So like I just go there to like, I need to spend something. I've come in here like once or twice and I just browsed and not gotten anything. So like by the third time, I'm like, I need to just grab stuff.
I understand. I always feel bad, especially when I go to a store where I've gotten to know the people a little bit better, just like window shopping.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes they know though.
Yeah.
They know what you're doing. Like you're looking for that item that you want.
Yeah.
So-
Wes is just giving me a hard time, just being like,
You
do I
ever
have
gonna spend
nothing? Yeah.
I need to. Speaking of Wes, I have written down an episode for him in the near future, and I need to talk to him because
yeah.
I have not done so. That might not be happening. So real quick, Space
Okay.
Channel 5.
Go ahead.
I looked it up because I was curious. So that is a sequel to Space Channel 5 1. So
And that's a Dreamcast game.
Space
yes?
Channel 5 was a Dreamcast game. Apparently, this game, Space Channel 5 2, did not come out on the Dreamcast in America. It eventually came to the PS2
Oh.
later. So that was how you could play it. But then, yeah, so this, which I assume is the Dreamcast version of the game, never came to America. I don't know how that works, but we got it in America in 2003 on PS2. But that's an interesting compilation there that they would put the second game and not the first game.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were two games. Quite literally,
I didn't know either. I thought it was just Space Channel 5.
It's still a really cool combo, and Cameo is a cool pickup too. I've heard the game's not the best, but I've always wanted to play it.
It being part of that era of just the tail end of 3D platform. Well, I guess it wasn't even the tail end. It was just kind of at the, I would say golden age is probably like what, 64?
Platformers, 3D platformers, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Well, it's hard to say because the PS2 era really had some
right. Yeah, so
good
it's
ones
like
too. It's like the
around the
64
tail end.
was what
It was
really
winding
like
down.
brought it up and made some of the best in that era. But then PS2 continued to swing it.
Oh yeah, they got even more refined.
And GameCube and Xbox as well. But
I guess what I'm just trying to say, just part of the platforming era. I just want to check it out of curiosity, and I love Rare. And then also 360 game, Bomberman X Zero. I found it. Thanks,
found
Wes. Yeah, Bomberman X Zero. It's the really gritty, realistic looking Bomberman. If you were to hide the title, that does not look.
I would never have thought Bomberman
Nope.
looking at that.
It's I remember seeing this a long time ago and just being like, what?
Have your friends over with a few beers and play a confusing version of Bomberman.
Oh man, the view is all like third person and like low. It's like, how can you even?
How are you going to see where to place your bomb?
Actually, that angle actually looks more.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I see it now.
That's interesting. You'll have to let me know how it is because there's that little part of me that is like, it's a weird, unique version of Bomberman on Xbox. I want to get it, but then there's a part of me that's like, it looks kind of dumb. But if it is even remotely fun, like if it's still somewhat cheap, I want to get it before it's too late.
And some things it will age a certain way. Either it'll be even worse as time goes by, or a bad experience will be a really fun, bad, good time, Nowadays, if you wait long enough.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Ridge Racer 6.
Get your race on.
360. This is actually an exclusive. 7 was a PS3 exclusive, but that's like the better version of 6. So I don't quite get how the
number system goes.
Yeah, I'm not quite familiar with this series, but Joel recommended Ridge Racer 6, so I'm just like, okay, I trust your judgment, and I like arcade racers, so like,
yeah,
oh sure, why not? Yeah, I'll give that a try. And then this was driving me nuts for the longest time. I already had the game, but I got the manual because I stupidly did not buy it with the manual. I think online, and this was just one of the few games that it was just always sitting in the back of my head that I'm so aware at all times
that it was not complete.
It's just the box in the game. I'm just like,
and the game is
Panzer Dragoon or
for the people who can't see.
Yeah, my bad. I was like, did I even say the title yet?
Is that a sequel to the 2 from the Saturn, or is it a remake of something?
This is straight up the 4th game I wanted. Oh, is it 4th or 3rd?
So I mean, I know there were sagas as well, but I don't know how that falls into the series.
Yeah, is that a? Yeah, I'm not qualified.
I should get this. I've played the first one now that I have it on Saturn. I haven't finished it, but it's fun. It's hard though. It's so hard.
Really cool.
Or maybe I'm just
on rail shooter games. You got a chick with riding a dragon. Like, how rad is that? And it's not even that much for how much the other games go for in the series. Like,
no, it's a
Xbox exclusive. Okay,
cool series that has not gotten a lot of love ever. The first one's I'm enjoying it. I need to go back to it and try to finish it. I just raged a little bit at it because I was like, I'm so bad at this.
Is it old school in that if you die, you have to start from the very, very beginning?
Yeah, I think you get like a continue once, but then you have to go back. Yeah. Maybe you get more than one. But I got a game over. Like I had to go back to the beginning. And it's hard. Like, okay, it's been a little while since I played it last, but like I remember it being really hard to truly dodge all of the stuff that was coming at me. But like I said, it might have just been that I was bad too. Like I definitely was still trying to figure it out and felt really bad at the game.
Yeah, I wonder. I haven't played the original. I played a little bit of the remake on Switch and it seemed easy, but also I only played like the first level. So I'm like, oh, neat. So I'll finish this later.
It's
either the remake is different or tweaked or
I just suck.
Or I'm just good.
Yeah, maybe that's it. You're just God tier. I like that answer. We'll go with that. I'm just trying to catch up to Jaden's skill.
No, I'm bad at games. And then Republic Commando, it bugged. I found this loose at a Goodwill, one day, and so it bothered. What I threw this in my Series X that one day to see if it's like, I wonder if this works on there. And sure enough, this game is backwards compatible. I'm like, this is awesome. And so I'm like, okay, I want the case and manual. Like I played like the beginning, like the intro. I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, I only ever, I think when we did the Star Wars episode, me and James, I think I'd said I never played it, but I did play like the very beginning of the game. Not very far into it, but it's cool. Like I need to go back and actually play it.
Yeah. Definitely one I want to sit down and really play. Because, it's not that long. And from what I experienced, I'm like, whoa, this is a lot cooler than I thought. I got it just because I remember the multiplayer being fun back in the day.
Yeah.
My friend had it. My brother's friend had it. I think it's my friend, too. And then this game I picked up called Mad Maestro for PS2. And
that's the same people that did so Fresh Games by Eidos, huh?
Yeah.
Eidos?
So
Eidos or Eidos?
Eidos? I don't know. My brother texted me a picture of this because he was in a game store and he asked me like, "Oh, dude, this game." I'm like, "What is that? I don't know what that is." And he was like, "We used to have it," and I'm like, "We did?" Because when the PS2 came out, I remember when he got it, and I can recall all the games we've ever owned for that console, except for this. This is like my mind erased this memory, or maybe he owned it for a little bit. I mean, well, obviously he had gotten rid of it somehow at some point. Either he sold it.
Back.
Yeah, and so I'm like, shoot, a rhythm game that's somewhat decent. It's only like $5
for sure, man.
So I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. Like, and I want to like play it just to see if anything like comes back to mind. Like, oh my gosh, this game, because it
looks cool.
Yeah,
and it's this is the same team that did, maybe not same team, same box art style as Mr. Mosquito.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they did the lettering the same, and then they had the same Fresh Games with the same.
That is weird.
Super. Like I don't know that any other games did that. I just know I recognize that as the Mr. Mosquito box style.
Yeah, I wondered. I thought this was like a variant or something, because like why does it have this weird yellow border going around it? But I'm like, now I know. Oh, yep. That's
yeah. I recognize. I think I recognized the game because when I was a kid or teenager or whatever, young teenager, my parents would go to Sam's Club all the time. Which, for anybody who possibly doesn't know what that is, it's basically like a Costco but owned by Walmart.
Oh, that's what it is.
So it's you need a membership to get in, just like Costco. But I don't know why. My parents went there every week. They went there. It was weird, but they always had like a game section and stuff. And Mr. Mosquito is one of the games I always remember seeing and thinking it looked really weird, and I kind of wanted to play it, but I never bought it. But now it's kind of expensive. But I have that like cover like burnt into my mind. So when I saw that, I immediately was like, I recognize that style.
Yeah. No, it came back. That's it for my second stack.
Okay. So my last pickup that I'm going to talk about. So this is an oddity. One that I'm sure a lot of people probably haven't heard of because, I mean, frankly, there's not a lot of reason to have heard of it. So you remember in the 90s, so you might not remember in the 90s if you weren't barely alive yet. But in the 90s, Tiger made those little handheld consoles that were themed off of different movies and video games, like the Jurassic Park and X-Men and everything. And they were super popular in the 90s, but they were mediocre little, devices. They were made to probably get you through a road trip or something.
A really short road trip.
Yeah, right. I never had them because my mom always said they're cheap. Like, you don't need that. But then, I think it was 97, Tiger announced that they were making their own handheld console to compete with the Game Boy and the Game Gear. And they were going to release the Tiger Gamecom. I don't know if it's called the Game.com or just the Gamecom. I always just called it the Gamecom.
It was before the internet became
really
common.
Thing.
So
I, as a young kid, I was like, dude, this thing is super cool. Like in the movies, like it's just like adults and like rich people that have a device that has a phone book in it and a calendar and a calculator and play solitaire, and it can even go online. What? The internet was like, I was fledgling in 1997.
Probably is the Game.com.
So yeah, it's what they were going for. And this thing had 2 cartridge slots, so you could play 2 games at once. So I was like, Like, I need a Gamecom. Like, that thing is gonna be it. I remember telling my parents, and then one year, for whatever reason, I don't know, my mom and dad were weird. They didn't. I could ask for a lot of things, and I didn't usually get them. But every once in a while, one of those things would stick. Maybe it was the passion behind which I talked
Out of all
about
the
it.
things to come through and get
The Gamecom came through. So funny enough, I still have the same Gamecom from when I was a kid, but I hadn't played it in years. I'd stuck with me and stuff, but overall, like, even as a kid, when I finally had it, it's not good. The games on it were mediocre. Like, some of them were a little bit fun. There was a Lost World game. There was a Batman and Robin game. But it mainly had, I can't show you because there's nothing on here, but it mainly had, like, kind of like Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and stuff like that. Puzzle games that just could use the touchscreen to type answers.
Then you realized, wait a minute, being adult isn't fun at all. This is boring.
I did think it was pretty lame, but I did, when I found mine and got it working and everything, got batteries in it. The screen's a little wonky on it, but I went through the phone book, and I had filled that phone book with, like...
It's still, all the phone numbers
all
are
the data's still there,
nice.
yeah. And I'd filled that phone book with, like, Dragon Ball Z characters and, like, characters from Reboot. And then,
You have
like,
their numbers?
no, I mean, I probably put something fake in there, but I just thought it was funny I even put them in there. And then I had James in there. I had my friend Nick, like some of the friends I've had all these years. I was like, that's funny, like just a little nostalgia trip. But anyway, the point of that story is I was on eBay, kind of just watching the ending soon stuff as I do from time to time, pretty often, and I saw this complete in box Gamecom. It's getting ready to end. And they said it was tested, but it didn't work. But, they're like, maybe it's fixable, yada, yada. And I was like, it's $40. I don't need that. But it's cool that it's complete in box. But I don't know a ton about Gamecom collecting. But as I was looking at the listing, I was like, hold on. It has Sonic Jam, which there was a Sonic game
I was
on.
literally Googling that. I was like, wasn't there a Sonic game for the Gamecom?
So I saw that, and that was the one game I always wanted when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and I never had. So I was like, that's kind of cool. And I know that, I mean, even loose is worth like $40-ish now.
What?
So, why? Because, there can't be that many Gamecom collectors. But then I saw in the little tray here, Wheel of Fortune 2. So, and the one thing I know about Gamecom collecting is Wheel of Fortune 2 is extremely rare and extremely
No
expensive
way.
for the Gamecom. So just the cartridge alone is worth like $150. So
Oh my gosh.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to buy it because I'm a fool. And there is a little bit of nostalgia there for the console.
Yeah, there's enough reasons.
So it was
don't
at
blame
$40. And
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and it ended
yeah.
up, somebody else had bid on it. And, I waited to snipe at the last second. I ended up winning it for 60 plus shipping. So I was like, am I stupid? Should I have paid this much for a Gamecom? No. But did I? Yes.
Do you have Wheel of Fortune 2? Yes.
But I have, with that, I have the rarest Gamecom game. And Sonic is one of the more expensive ones as well. And I already had RE2 for it, sealed. So, which that's one of the more expensive ones as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
about that?
it's a pretty unique little console, and I don't know. I was playing it the other day, and it's just about as mid as I remember, but I'm kind of going to mess around with it more, and I just think it's a cool collector's piece. And like I said, because it's tied to some nostalgia from when I was a kid.
Yeah, you actually have some experience with it. It's not like someone like me being like, oh, look at my Gamecom box. And like, none of my friends would know what that is. Like, why do you have that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a console from the 90s. Did you grow up with that? No. It's like, it makes sense, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And you got an awesome deal.
Yeah, it was super cheap for what it is. But yeah, maybe I feel like it'd probably be fun for people to mess around with it too and see how not great it is.
Yeah.
But-
Curious what the difference is Wheel of Fortune 2 has to
Oh,
offer.
I bet the what are they called, puzzles? What do they call the Wheel of Fortune?
I guess word puzzle.
That-
I guess.
I bet the word puzzles in Wheel of Fortune 2 are real crazy.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that's it for that pickup. I was pretty
awesome.
excited about that. I know not many people will be, and most will be confused as to why I even spent the money on it. But the last point I should have said too. It came with I had my console still, like I said, which still worked, but it came with one that they said was tested but didn't work. I cleaned up the battery terminals, and it works just fine.
Wonderful.
And it's in better shape than mine is. The screen actually looks
Nice.
better. So
Oh.
anyway, that's the end of that story. We're done talking about
That
the
is
Gamecom
awesome.
now. Or are we?
Hear that, guys? You can come back. It's all good. All right. So, during this a thing that was happening a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago by this point, where Walmart was like I was seeing online, and also some people in the Discord. I think Jimmy and Rockateller Suit. I want to say
Which his real name? Rob.
Rob.
Yeah, I just found that
No,
out recently.
Rob a Teller Suit.
Now we can call him Rob.
I can say- Awesome. Nice to meet you, Rob. I was looking through my Walmarts. Not my Walmarts, but you know what I mean. Just to
You
see,
own Walmart?
just- my Walmarts. I don't want to own them. Just for if I can see if I can find these crazy deals that people have been seeing. And some
Yeah.
people have been getting some of the games that, like, I guess when Walmart doesn't want them to be sold anymore, they like tell them to, like, throw them away or something like that. From what I can gather online, I was hearing people, like, some employees would be really cool and that they will sell the things that they're supposed to destroy. They're supposed to throw away. This sounds so fake, but this is what I was hearing. But I saw, like, people, like, showing their receipts, like, yeah, they sold this bean for 3 cents. Like, things, like, crazy things like Live Alive or maybe it wasn't Live Alive. It was things like that. Games that are clearly
Like pretty good
they
Switch
go
games.
for a little more than 3 cents, I'd say. Yeah, and like solid ones too, not just like Chicken Blaster or something. You know,
The great thing about video games and game collecting is even the absolute worst shovelware sports game is still worth more than 3 cents.
Yeah. I was like, I'd buy all the games if they were worth 3 cents.
Yeah.
So I didn't find a bunch. Oh, I was Monkey Ball. I didn't bring, but that was one I got for $5. I thought that was
nice.
pretty cool. Banana Mania, right? Yeah, I already had that on Xbox, but I'm like, well, I have it on Switch.
For $5, why not?
Exactly. That was one of them. Oh, I should have mentioned that one. I got a Story of Seasons game, Wonderful Life. I think that was
that's
either
awesome.
5 or 10.
Dude, what a deal.
And so yeah, Story of Seasons that's actually the Harvest Moon developers.
Yeah. Or, well,
They don't.
yeah,
they had a little
you're
manual
correct.
on there.
That's super cool.
Speaking of Harvest Moon, another one I found for, I want to say 5 or 10 also, Harvest Moon Light of Hope.
Oh, wow. Ooh,
watched-
complete.
Complete. Yeah, exactly. Even more special. I watched Jesse play that one. I'm like, woof. This is really low budget. It looked like a DS game.
It's so crazy to me that Harvest Moon used to be the best, and now they're probably the worst farming game.
Them almighty have fallen.
Yeah.
You got taken over by one dude.
So weird.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. And I think I checked like Walmart. I didn't go like super frequently because I didn't want to be like, okay, at what cost is this? Like hoping to find Live Alive for, what was it, $15, I think.
But spent $100 in gas.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to check
But it's the
Walmart.
thrill of the hunt.
I don't want to say I found this game for $15 because I went to Walmart 20 times. You know,
Yeah.
that's not worth it.
I know what you mean.
So unfortunately, I didn't find that, but I found some of these games, and I think Plants vs Zombies: Garden Warfare, also just $5. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then what do I have in my hand? Oh, so I eventually on Mercari found, I just liked one of the posts for Live Alive, and it was like $30, which in my head I'm justifying, like, oh well, that's half of 60, which is what it launched at. And then just gradually just kept lowering the price, and then at one point the dude was just like, $22.
Somebody please
I was
buy
like,
it?
man, for okay,
That's a
like
good deal.
I'll go for that.
I
Like,
need to get this still.
and I hear positive things from Jimmy. I mean, I was interested in this game too. Aside, that was a loud noise. Yeah, it seems pretty cool. People talk really highly of that. So I don't love RPGs, but you know, the right one will come my way one day, and I will
It'll
I will
really
be converted.
stick.
And so, getting the Harvest Moon and Story Seasons, it hit me then. I was like, I still haven't played Stardew Valley yet. And then I was thinking of my reasoning. I was like, oh well, I don't want it digital because I'm a collector. I'm weird. Because Jessie was like, when are you gonna play? She really wants to play with me, and so I'm like, I'll get a physical. And so with my Mercari money, I got a free copy of
Ayo.
free. Finally got Stardew, and it's taken over my
Dude,
life.
I love the art on this.
I don't
cover.
want to collect anymore. I just want to play Stardew Valley. I don't even.
He's done. He doesn't need another hobby, and it has
I
a
don't need
manual.
it. Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, so really happy with that.
Such a good game.
Oh yeah, it's
You know what's sad?
It's good stuff.
Is I
What's
don't
sad?
own Stardew Valley physically still.
Really,
But I do
Do
own
you-
it digitally on Switch and on PlayStation and on Steam.
Oh, do you want a PS4? I guess we could talk about this later. I found it for PS4 for like not that much.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can talk about it because that's where I play it on most anyway.
Oh,
but-
right on, right on. Yeah, and it comes with like a little map. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to mention this one up. I guess I saved the best for last. RZ,
Oh,
the
limited
Jewel
run?
of Faramore. Limited
This already
run.
shipped?
I know, dude. This one came like fast. It was like within a matter of weeks.
Dude, that's super fast. It must have been made already. I just didn't realize that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. It did not feel long at all compared to the other one I got. So you know what, limited run. I'll give you credit. I'll mention. Yeah. You guys
Give you a
delivered
little
way
shout-out.
faster than I expected, but maybe because my expectations were so low. I don't know. But yeah, so RZ, this is the spiritual successor to the really infamously bad Zelda games on the CDI, which I am a fan of. Ironically, of course,
Yeah.
the YouTube poops. Don't get me started. I can say all of them. I can say all the cutscenes. I love. I love it. And
Yeah,
so
this
just
was
saying,
an easy purchase for you then.
oh yeah. And so I'm just like, I need to support this, and also the fact that it's not terrible. It's actually a pretty solid game. I
The
hear.
reviews I saw were pretty solid.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play this.
It immediately made me regret not buying it. Did you buy that controller too? I saw they released a Panasonic style
Yeah,
controller.
I know
for it.
that's so cool. If I thought about it because it was only like $35, I want to say, and
It's a weird little niche thing, but
I
it was kind of
know.
cool that they made it.
That's cool, but I have no memories. I never actually had a CDI. I don't.
Yeah,
You know,
neither did
holding
I.
a controller like that, it's terrible, and this controller knows it's a terrible way to play a game. So
Do you know how terrible you are?
I passed, but I love that they did that though.
Yeah, I thought
Really,
that was
really
super
cool
cool. I'm
stuff.
glad that it came so quick.
I know, yeah. So, shoot, once I get done with the things I'm playing,
Yeah, I'd like to know how it is.
yep, that'll do it for me.
All
That
right.
was my collection.
So I'm out of
Collectible pickups.
games to talk about, but since James isn't here with us for this collector's edition episode, I don't get Nintendo Power issues very often, but I did have one this time because of Jaden, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But you know what time that means? What you know what it means? You know what time? Yeah.
The time.
Hello, it's
is
time
now.
for. And you no longer have eardrums. I don't know why it was so hard for me to say what I was trying to say, but
You got excited.
yeah, I can't get the words out. So about the same time you picked up the last issue that you got for James, I think you messaged and you're like, randomly, this says something about Earthbound 64 on the top.
Yeah, I looked back at that picture I sent you, and then it caught my eye. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
Chris.
I did not catch that, but so I was like, oh heck yeah, pick that up for me. Like the amount of even Nintendo Powers that had information on Earthbound 64 was pretty minimal. But when you said that, I was like, I bet you anything. This is the issue I had when I was a kid, and I don't know what happened to it.
really?
I didn't remember the cover article, but as you brought it today, as I was kind of fingering through it, I was like, this is it. Like there's a couple things in here now that I remember. So we'll just go over. I'm not James. I will not be doing this nearly as well as he does. He has got it down to a science when he does his power hour. But we just wanted to do it in lieu of his absence and make sure we know that we appreciate Power Hour.
Yeah.
Make sure he knows that we
Not
appreciate Power
stealing
Hour.
his segment.
Nope. But I do have a few pages here we'll go over. So quickly, firstly, on page 8. Oh, would you look at that? On page 7, actually, the art here, somebody did some art for Fire Emblem. That's well before it came to
Whoa.
America. So that's interesting and kind of cool. I hadn't seen that when I was going through before. Anyway, so on page 8, so James usually does this. I think I'm talking about James a lot right now. Don't let your head get big.
James.
Um,
we need someone to get mad at.
So let's do the top Game Boy games. What do you think in 1997? That's when this issue came out, March '97, I believe. What do you think the top 3 Game Boy games were? If you
Are
were
you
to make
asking
any
me or
guess.
the audience?
You. Well, the audience, you can guess too, but I won't know what you said.
Man,
Just take a wild guess.
I bet there's something they're licensed or something at this point. Like I don't think that's the answer though. I just feel like that's what the answer is.
I will say one of them you've already mentioned today, but maybe not in its Game Boy form.
Oh, Link's Away. Oh, wait.
It's not even the deluxe edition.
Oh yeah, it's not because Game Boy Color came out the next year. Wow,
So this game was
that's
selling well still.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be like more the top new games or whatever.
Interesting.
Sweet.
It at
Yeah.
this point had been on the charts for 47 months. That's crazy. And these charts for Game Boy, at least at this point, are only top 5. So
When that come out, 93 originally?
I don't even remember.
I should
I want to
know
say
this.
92, but 93 sounds right as well. So then the other two in the top 3 were Donkey Kong Land 1 and 2. How about SNES? What do you think one of the top 3 games were at this
Oh,
time?
97?
Yeah. So we're already into the 64 at this point.
Well, if it's including things from like the past that can still be selling, that kind of changes things. But I know there was a Kirby game that came out later on. Like it was like Kirby something 3.
Yeah, Dreamland 3. But that's not on here.
No.
So.
Okay. Top games, Donkey Kong Country 3.
Hey, look at that. That's
Is
number
that
1.
Okay, sweet. What would be the other top ones? Is it a Mario? Is there a Mario?
There
in
is a Mario.
Yoshi Island?
Nope. That's not even in the top
Not
10.
you don't consider that a Mario game? Oh,
Well, I, mean, I do consider it a Mario game.
would it be Mario RPG?
It is. Mario
There
RPG
we
is
go.
number 3.
Sorry, I brain farted there.
And then to keep in the theme with the number 1 from Game Boy, A Link to the Past is number 2 at this point. All 3 of
Wow.
them had been on the charts for quite a while at this point already. Well, no, Donkey Kong 3 hadn't been. Only a few months. All right,
That's interesting.
64.
I wonder why the Zelda hype.
how's-
Maybe Ocarina of Time was
Probably Ocarina of Time
Maybe.
because it's
People
not
were like-
out yet at this point, but people might have been like, I want to play Zelda again or whatever. Maybe people were getting a Super Nintendo or a Game Boy for the first time still.
That'd be interesting to like look into like what the atmosphere was like at the time, like pre Ocarina of Time. Like this
yeah.
is right about to come out.
Is it like now? Because that happens now really bad. Like
Uh-huh.
when a new game's coming out, people get really hyped and will buy up all the copies of the old versions.
Oh yeah. It's like I didn't know I would love Breath of the Wild as much as I did. You know, like before it was coming out. It's
Yeah.
like you have no idea how good something's gonna
No,
be.
for sure.
It's interesting. What else? Are you?
All right, let's do the 64. What do you think the top games were?
97.
So there's not a big
GoldenEye. Oh wait, what year is it? What month is this?
March.
So it's the beginning of 97. Did GoldenEye even come out yet? I think that was later in 97.
Yeah, I don't think it. Well, I guess I'm giving it away
I
by
was
saying that.
1 year old. I wasn't even 1. I was about to turn 1. So my memory's a little hazy, if you can forgive me, guys. Let's see.
Your memory should work better than
selling
this.
good. Mario Kart, did that come out yet?
Yep, Mario Kart was out.
Sweet. Okay.
And it's number 3.
Okay, Mario 64 has to be high up
Yep,
on there.
it's number 1.
Okay. Now if I can only think of another.
If you think of a recent episode we just did, you might have a hint there as to what game is number 2.
Toe Jam and Earl 64.
Oh man, you got it.
I forgot what the last episode. Final Fantasy 7 wasn't on 64.
That's true. I guess it was the episode before the last.
I give up.
It's all right. It's Shadows of the Empire, Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
So
sweet.
we're only 6 months in, but and not a lot of games out. But the top 3 were 3 of my favorite games on the 64.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that was interesting. And then on to page 52, we have the article, which is the reason why I had him pick this up for me, and that was the Earthbound 64 article. And it's, it's one of those things where like I'll always kind of wish that this had happened because it would have given the 64 another cool RPG and an Earthbound game, which I know this game eventually got scrapped and became a little bit more of what Mother 3. They used some of the ideas, at least for Mother 3. I don't know how much. But it's cool looking at the sprites, the 3D sprites that they had created. They had Dr. Andonauts here, so for any Earthbound fans, you'll recognize him as a returning character. It's a little Mr. Saturn there. They have a group that's supposed to be like a resemblance to the Runaway Five, but they were going to be their own group known as the Desperado Crush Mambo Combo, or DCMC for short. So it's I don't have a lot to say on it because I didn't have a chance to read this before, but it's just cool to see these screenshots. And it's cool to see how in development the game was,
Yeah.
which was obviously further than we might have even thought. But
especially if they're like promoting it like this, like that, like
yeah, they had screenshots of obviously something that they had created.
that's so crazy. Like just to think, like where Earthbound could have gone had it been a 64 game, console. This is 3D. So like what if this had come out, like would they have made a GameCube one? Would it have been like a home console type? Because Mother 3 came out on Game Boy Advance, right?
Yeah.
It kind of stuck to that like traditional 2D art style. But like had this, could we have like gone in a whole different path
Yeah.
and
It-
become
it'd
a
be-
3D console game.
It'd be cool to have seen this. I wish that what was out there was still like, available and like somebody could put it on a hack it and put it on a ROM and let people play it. But who knows? It probably wasn't even playable. But I may have known this at some point, forgot, but I don't remember it. But it was scheduled to be released on the 64 disc drive, which obviously never came out in America and was a pretty big flop in Japan. I think it only had like 8 games in Japan. But that may have been at least part of the reason why it got scrapped. If it was supposed to be for the disc drive and they could tell it was already...
It was too big for the standard N64. They couldn't do it.
Yep.
Instead, they waited for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, they did. They just basically started fresh. I need to play that game. It's really gotten pathetic that I still haven't played it. But
Oh, yeah, you can load it up on your Analog Pocket.
yeah, and I need to because at this point I don't actually have any faith they're going to bring it to America in any form. So this was a cool article, and like I'll try to remember to take a picture of it and post it just as a nostalgia trip for anybody else who cares. So there's some other cool articles in here. This was about the time Harvest Moon on Super Nintendo came out, and they have like a little walkthrough, like a little map and walkthrough
Yeah.
of the area.
Me and Jesse were flipping because I was looking for the Earthbound page, and then we flipped to that Harvest Moon one. Like we were both looking at it, and we were both just like, "That's Stardew Valley." That just like exactly the
That's
same.
obviously where he got his
I
inspiration. was
wonder
from
where.
this.
No, yeah, that was funny though.
Yeah. It looks the art style that he used was obviously a call. Obviously,
An homage.
I know
to-
that's
yeah.
what you're getting at too. Like Stardew Valley was obviously taking inspiration from Harvest Moon, but his art style was yeah. Now I'm trying to say big words like Jay. Homage to Harvest Moon
Homage.
Super Nintendo. But so that's cool. And then I thought it was cool too that you go a couple pages further. This is actually just a really quality issue altogether. There's a lot of good stuff in it.
Oh, they do like the ranking thing.
Yeah. Then they have the Nintendo Power Award nominations. So you could look
Yeah.
at what they were nominating for best of and best soundtrack,
Yes.
best story, best graphics.
Because I was so confused because I'm an idiot and I don't know what the word nomination means. I thought this was like the definitive list, and so I was like saying like, wait, number 1 is that game? It's just the list and saying like, oh, if you want to submit your vote, do A for 1, 2, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, yeah,
Yeah.
I was thrown off there.
It's pretty cool. And then they have coolest move of 1996. Would you say that it's the flaming puck shot from Wayne Gretzky? Possibly the group hug from Super Mario 64 or Super Mario RPG I meant.
Oh.
Or Mario crawling in Super Mario 64. That's just odd. Mario crawling is definitely one of the coolest moves from
Show me your
1996.
moves.
So I thought that was cool. And then lastly, just because we have a lot of Mario RPG fans that listen to the podcast,
Yeah, I definitely thought of him.
I thought this was cool. The Beat the Boss special segment for Super Mario RPG. It has each of the first. It has a little like rundown of each boss. I'm looking to see how far it goes. It has every boss, all the way to Smithy. It looks like, yeah. So they have a little rundown of every boss, what their health pool was, their stats, what the best way to beat them is, what their weakness is, like if they're weak to jump attacks or different kind of like fire or whatever else. So super cool. And just like I love the art in these old issues too.
Yeah.
Obviously this is art taken straight from the game, but a lot of effort went into putting together these pages.
Oh yeah,
Just makes it look so well put together. It's just fantastic. And overall, this is just a really cool issue, and I'm thankful to you for grabbing it, for noticing it, grabbing it, and having it back in the collection because it's very.
it belongs with you.
It did. This was probably the one that I had before, since the name on the front obviously
Says
was me, Maria
Chris
Pennington. No, but thanks for grabbing it, and that will conclude my lackluster version of Power Hour. Sorry, James.
It was good.
Oh, I got to clap.
Even without James. I think you did it justice.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure James isn't mad.
I hope not.
I hope he's not mad.
Or else you stop listening right now.
If he's mad, I want to know. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, you could have been here, James. You chose not to be. You gotta hang out with your family or something weird. Okay, so that concludes one-ups and pickups and Power Hour. So now we'll move on to the next segment.
I've got my eye on you.
That's right. The dancing segment.
Heck yeah. We're not even gonna talk. We're just gonna dance now.
Yeah.
Well, you got your eye on anything?
Actually, hold on. Do you have anything? Go ahead.
So interestingly enough, I don't really have anything very specific that I am like, yes, I have my eye on that right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way.
I will say that Limited Run is going to be doing their blowout sale soon, which means like some of the stuff that they've had, they'll have back in stock, like overstock, return, stuff like that. And they always do like a, what's it called? Like a blind box thing too, where the blind boxes are discounted and you have a chance. They tell you your odds of what you might get. So you have a chance of getting like some of the more obscure or rarer games.
They know their audience.
They know their
It
audience.
does. Yeah.
And just about every year, I usually end up picking up one of the things that I didn't buy before. So I truly do have my eye on it. Doesn't mean I'm going to get anything. Because as of right now, like honestly, RZ is probably one of the things that if they have it there, I might grab. The one thing I like about it when they do this is that it's in hand. So you get it like a week or two. So you don't have to wait for them to public
Sweet.
producing. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. I thought about I thought about it for a little bit, but I was like, there's always things I want, but I don't need to come up with something that isn't like crazy, like an actual like new thing or that I just learned about. I don't have anything, so why make something up?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same thing. Like I said, Stardew has kind of taken over my life at this moment, and so because of that, I noticed there is a variant out there that is like it says it has 1.5 on the cart. It says this little note at the top of it. It's really weird. I know there's this big update. 1.6 is about to drop on console. It's out on PC, I believe, already. And so we're just waiting for the console version. I've got my eye on the potential future cart release if they were to put it on that cart, because I would like to own this newer version, this latest version.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If that does come.
At some point, it'd be nice to own a complete version of the game, too, if he ever stops making updates, which he may not. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's what I'm thinking about 24/7. Stardew Valley. I can't let this game go. I need this game in my life forever. What am I going to do?
It's a lot of fun. Me and my friend Kel played a lot of it last year. I think we did 3 years in like a very short period of time. Then I was like, I need a break now. But he's always like, can we go back to Stardew Valley now? But I love the game. It's great.
Yeah. Who'd you marry?
This time Maru.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I've played far enough to get married 3 times, and I married Penny once and Haley once.
Oh, nice.
And then Maru this time.
Right on.
Did you know that there's like I don't know if it's a collector's edition or a special edition, but have you seen
really
that?
Big version?
Yeah, that comes with like the acrylic stand that's like tiered and stuff.
Yeah. Because like I said, when I was buying a physical copy, I didn't know I would love this game this much. And so I didn't think I needed it, but now after playing it, I'm revisiting the idea. I'm not like, oh, I need that, but for what is in the box, I don't think I need. Yeah. But it's back on my radar.
Yeah, it's not a need. It's just it's a
sure.
slight
I'm checking it out every now and then.
You might be keeping your eye on it.
Maybe my eye is on it.
Glancing on it a little bit.
I'm looking over. Yeah.
Got my eye glancing at you. Okay.
Yeah, that might be pretty cool.
So we'll cut off the I've got my new segment there. Now let's get into the main topic. So like I said earlier, we had different plans for the episode, completely different topic, another guest that was going to be here. And when that changed, we decided to just shift a little bit, but keep it in the collector's edition range because Jaden had brought his games with him and we'd already planned on talking about our pickups and everything.
We already had beer and pizza. Like, well, might as well.
Yeah, we were ready to go. So that brought us into thinking about like, what can we talk about? We went through a couple of different things and we're like, we don't want to force something. It needs to feel natural.
And as we were just brainstorming, we were just talking already. So like, we should just hit record. we should just go.
Honestly, we could have just had an episode just off of ours because we kept getting on tangents of different things we were talking about. But then one thing that it kind of kept coming back to was like the type of collector that we are, because I think, just about everybody collects something. There are people who just purge and don't like to have physical things, at all. And, that's its own type of thing. But when it comes to collecting, people like to collect all types of stuff. But they usually have their own idea as to what they do, how they collect it. And with video games, that's definitely even more true than a lot of things. There's people that consider themselves, they like collecting sealed stuff. They buy a game sealed, they keep it sealed, and they just lock it up and put it away. I know with Pokemon cards too, people obviously will collect, to a deck to play, but they like to buy a booster box and put it away. I don't know if that's for like an investment or just because they like to have it because they're a big fan.
And I can say that I think that's stupid, but also they are free to think that me having 3 copies of Tony Hawk Underground is also stupid for all the consoles. So like, I get it. I respect it. You can go ahead.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It doesn't. At the end of the day, like we could all judge each other all the time for whatever, but that's not the point. The point we can.
Everything's stupid if you think about it.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb that I have all these video games that I cannot feasibly play anytime soon.
Exactly.
I'm the first person to admit it, but I enjoy it, and it brings me a sense of happiness. So what's wrong with that? And I feel that way about anybody's hobbies or collections. Like I'm truly not here to judge. Even if I don't understand it, not here to judge.
That's it. Yeah.
Guarantee
Well said.
plenty of people don't understand mine. So, this probably won't be the longest topic ever, but I figured we just kind of go over a few different common types of collecting and just talk about, which one we are and what we think about it in general. So the first one would be quality versus quantity. So this would mean, like, do you buy games specifically that maybe are high valued or really good games, rated high, or games that you really like, versus having a collection of just thousands of games, that might include, My Baby's First Steps and, every Madden that you don't intend to play. Some people collect Madden. That's a different story.
Some people go for full console sets.
Well, Jaden, we'll ask you first. Are you quality versus or quantity?
It's hard to pass some things up when I see them. But I will say I think I do lean, more towards quality regarding, my personal interests, or like if a game's like super good and I do want to play it at some point, like if I come across, I can't even think of a good game right now, but if you come across a super good
Tony
game,
Hawk.
Yeah, Tony, there we go. Yeah. I think I'll try that one out someday. Yeah. So, but my overall collection wise, like I like to look at my shelf, my shelf. I said that right. I like to look at myself, my shelf, and just see, it's just a concentrated, boiled down. These are my type of games, and these make me happy. If there's like a bunch of things in there that like I've never played, I have no intention of playing. It's a Madden or what, I don't want to talk bad about people who like those Madden games or collect the retro ones, but things that aren't special to me. It's like, why? It's kind of silly to have it. For me personally, I don't need it if it's just going to be taking up space. So I just like a nice, rich, dense collection. It could be whatever size. If it happens to be a lot, then it'll be a lot. But ultimately, I just want to be able to have my favorite games accessible at all times, and not relying on a subscription service or this to the chance that it'll be on there, or to rely on that forever, because like a game that's on like NSO that I really like, am I content with the chance that it could go away one day, if this, in the future? I don't know. Some games I'm like, I think I would like to have this in my personal collection because it's really good. I enjoy it and it makes me happy.
I'm pretty much right there with you. On that last note you said, before I kind of talk a little bit more on what I think I am, you'd mentioned like if you have something digitally already, do you feel a need to buy it? And I actually just yesterday asked Jasmine that. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And that was because I've been playing Tunic, which I'd never played. But it was free on PlayStation Plus. And I've absolutely loved it. Like, not even just kind of passively enjoyed it. I loved it. Like, it's...
Oh, you beat it?
Yeah, I just finished it
sweet.
last night. So it's extremely charming. Like, it's extremely, like... I like the play style. It's difficult, but I always felt like I could do better. Like, I'm doing... Like, either I haven't learned the right thing yet, or I just need to adjust how I'm playing to do a little bit better against this situation.
It's a good hard.
It was very good hard, very rewarding. I truly enjoyed it. Music's fantastic, looks fantastic, plays fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But that raised the question to me, like, I have it digitally, but no, let me rephrase that. It didn't raise the question. I have it digitally. I want to own this game. I really like this game.
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking, like, what do I want to get it on? I was like, well, I have it digitally on PlayStation. I'll probably buy it physically on Switch, because it's a game I can see myself going back to easily.
Yeah.
Maybe not like all the time, but like every couple of years or something, I'll probably want to play it again. Which then that's where I was getting at. I asked Jasmine. I was like, is it like, what do you think of this? Somebody who's not like me and Jasmine are very different. Like, she's a purger. Like, she hits those moments where she's like, I got to get rid of everything. And I'm like, as long as you don't touch my stuff, like, you'll regret it in 6 months that you don't have that thing anymore. But it's your.
Yeah.
But even she was like, no, that makes sense. If you like something enough, like, why wouldn't you want to own it physically? And that's a fact, is with, like you mentioned too, like with PlayStation Plus, if I ever don't have let my account lapse or whatever, like, I won't have access to it anymore. But if I have it physically, I have access to it still. And I like that thought. But I would be curious to hear people's thoughts, if you don't consider yourself a collector, which I know there's at least a few, like, in that listen to the podcast that, don't consider themselves collectors at all. Like, is that a weird thing? Like, to want to own something physically, even if you already own it digitally?
I get what you mean in this dilemma, in that it is harder to justify it, the purchase for something that you currently right now have access to.
Yeah.
I've been there. So it's like, but yeah, it's up to you, I guess.
Yeah.
Personally, depending on the game, I'm just like, yeah, this is a game that I would like to have, my wife she can play it, or my sister, my brother, I can loan it if it's physical. Can't do that with digital.
Yeah.
So there are benefits. But yeah, if I justify it, if I like it that much, I think I could justify it.
Yeah, and on that same, you mentioned loaning games too. Literally, the other day when I recorded the Final Fantasy episode, I think in the episode, I know in the episode they talked about Omori. And then Gary had mentioned he never played it. And I was like, well, you can borrow mine if you want. I'm not going to play it again anytime soon. You couldn't do that with digital.
Nope.
So
you just have to keep texting them and just bugging them. It's like, oh, please just download the game. It's only $15 or whatever price,
Yeah, this is just easier. Games. But
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. So that was a little, it wasn't off topic, but I wanted to start with that because you just mentioned it, because it's something I was thinking about. But as far as quality versus quantity, I think with me it's probably a little bit more complex than that. But I definitely lean towards quality.
Yeah, it's not firmly on one side or the other.
Yeah.
It's kind of a blend.
I say that because for certain consoles, like the Wii U, obviously I've been slowly kind of working on a complete set. Things like PSP and 3DS, I have bought games for that I'm probably not that interested in, just because they were super cheap. And I just like handheld games, so I don't know. That's where I kind of lean a little bit more into the quantity sometimes. But overall, that is not the norm. And I wouldn't pay a lot for any of those, But the majority of my collection, I would consider quality over quantity, because they're things that I want to play. I will say 95% of the things that I buy, probably even more than that, probably even closer to 98 of the games that I buy are games that I truly have every intention of playing at some point. Like I'm buying it because I want to play it. But like some people just like to have big collections, and like I get it. Like it is a true serotonin boost to look at your collection.
Oh yeah.
And if that to you means like, a giant basement filled with games, it doesn't matter what they are, but the walls are covered, like I can understand that. And if I went to their house, I'd be fascinated looking through this whole collection of games, whether they're all quality or not. But yeah, I also have limited space.
Yeah, I feel you.
I only have, I could probably put some stuff in other places. Jasmine's definitely not a stickler, and she's very willing to let me expand outside of my room. It sounded bad. My room, like the game room is what I meant. But I like to keep it all together. So because of that, I have to hit the brakes somewhere.
Yeah.
Or it's even like this OfferUp lot that I talked about earlier in the 1-ups. There was, 15 games in it, but I only ended up keeping 5. And I don't have, other than Halo 2, I don't have another one of those games in that stack. But I don't need them. I'm not going to play them. I'm not interested
Right.
in them. I'm not a Call of Duty guy. Like, I don't care about Skyrim. Yeah, that's the point. I don't need to have them just to have them. So if somebody else is interested in them for how cheap I got them, I'd rather they have them than me put them in a shelf to literally just collect dust.
Yeah.
But-
These were made with love. Maybe not all the games, but these were designed to be enjoyed, experienced, and I get it. Some people like to keep things sealed or what have you. I guess we'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm like you in that I intend on playing the things because that's why I collect it, because I like this. I like video games, so
Exactly.
I'm with you.
All right, so that moves us into the next. I don't know what I would call this. The next versus, whatever. I can't think of a good term. But so first was quality versus quantity. Now it's loose versus complete. So obviously, when we're saying loose versus, I said obviously, that may have been condescending. When you say loose versus complete, we mean either like maybe just the disc or just the cartridge versus having the box, the manual, inserts, whatever else. So Jaden, where do you fall into this category?
I'm also a little bit of both on this one. For me, things like cartridges, especially big cartridges, Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy, they don't need the boxes. Because even if you do have the boxes, it's not like a plastic case designed to be open and closed like over and over again. Like if you're doing that with your cardboard boxes, they're just gonna wear out over time, I feel. And so that I don't feel the need to collect. If there's a game that I would really like, let me answer your question. I I prefer complete, except for those cases where it's just like, it's cardboard, and also it's a few $100s for just the cardboard. So yeah. I'm content with just having loose on some games, but if it's a disc game, it drives me nuts when it's without its case. If it not all the time does it bother me that I don't have the manual, but for certain games like the ones I brought here, those 2 Xbox games, those are special enough to where it's like, okay, I need the manual, especially back then when they actually had important information inside that you can look up, because I was playing those Godzilla fighting games a little while back. And it would have been really helpful to look in that manual, because I remember in my original copy I had as a kid, it had the moves in the manual. Mm-hmm. So this is handy to refer to. I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you do that. So yeah, with disc games too. If you're not putting it in its proper case, then how are you storing it? Is it just gonna this ugly blank CD case, and it's just you have to.
Or the giant binder.
Oh no, I can't do that.
The scratch machine.
Yeah, no bueno. So yeah, I'm not fooling myself when I print off a case, but it also is a lot nicer to look at than just a blank CD case.
Yeah.
On the shelf. So it's complicated.
It's complicated. Yeah, I'm pretty similar to you. I definitely lean heavier to the complete. If it is a game that I really want, I would rather get it wait a little longer to get it and get it complete, compared to just getting the cartridge. But with disc-based stuff, 100% of the time I want it complete. If it's a good enough deal and it's missing the manual or something, I might grab it and look at getting the manual later. But generally speaking, I'm not looking at it if it's not complete when it's a disc-based, because I just want it that way.
Yeah.
When it comes to cartridges, it gets a little bit more complex. I would say especially, I don't really collect NES, but with the original Game Boy and Super Nintendo,
they are pretty boxes though.
They're beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And very display worthy. But if I want the game bad enough, a lot of times it's way cheaper for just the game than complete in box. So unless there's a special, Mole Mania would be one of the true exceptions. Eventually I want to get it complete in box because I loved it. Donkey Kong 94 would be another one that I would want CIB, but they're both somewhat reasonable. I say that, that's to me, not to somebody else necessarily. Yeah. But some other games, I don't have an example, but I've seen other Game Boy games and Super Nintendo games where it is only, 5, 10, up to maybe $40 for just the cartridge, but then you want it complete in box, and you're looking at $500-$600, and that's just not worth it.
That's tough.
Even on its best day, I'm not paying that. So yeah, I mean, it goes back and forth, but I'll always look to try to get complete in box first, but it really depends on the price differential.
Yeah, definitely. And especially like if you see something at like GameStop sitting on the shelf, for instance, and it's maybe like a decent deal, but it's something that you would want the case and box for. It's pretty much not worth it to even just get the disc now and then, track down the case and manual. A lot of the times it's not worth it because it's the price differential is just so small compared to like Super Nintendo games where the cardboard box and everything. So yeah, for those, it's like, I'll just wait till I see this with its case, because it's going to be more expensive if you track down each individual pieces, because then if it's online, you're paying for shipping or what have you. Yeah. It adds up.
Extra fees, usually.
Yep.
So, no, I'm completely there with you. So on that note, what do you feel about reproduction? You mentioned printing out cover art. I know this has been something that's been discussed in Discord before, but like, how do you feel about reproduction boxes or whatever else?
I personally, when I see those, I'm just like, ugh. They're like, get this away from me. But I guess I haven't come across this instance where I wouldn't mind if it's like a certain game that either like never came out over here or something, like a special case. But when it's like a Pokemon game, it should be authentic. See, this is tough because then it's like, I don't know, like if you were to collect like baseball cards, or I could keep it more relevant, like Pokemon cards, right? It's like, well, why should I want this card if I really want the card? Why don't I just print it out?
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as having that card. So for like an official cartridge, especially cartridges, like when they're actually made, they were made back in the day. They're officially made. They're probably not not as like cheaply put together as maybe a reproduction might be. You're not guaranteed that that's going to last a long time. That could crap out on you or what have you, or with Pokemon saves, or I'm not too well versed in this realm, but I don't have a good feeling about that. It's like, do I want to throw if I was that hardcore into a certain Game Boy Advance Pokemon game, am I going to put like a few hundred hours in something that could die out on me any second? I don't know. No, you're not having those worries when you have an official copy.
Yeah.
If you replace the battery, you know what I mean? So, yeah, repros, I don't blame anybody who would just rather go that way, because it's like, yeah, why would you pay $200 or like $180 for Pokemon Emerald when somewhere is selling a repro for $20?
Yeah.
As long as you know what it is and they aren't like trying to trick you or anything, I see no problem in like go ahead. But I personally have trouble going for them.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you again. When it comes to reproductions, I don't care if people do it. Doesn't no skin off my back if somebody else wants to just play it. Or just have it complete in box and they buy a reproduction box, whatever. So I did buy on accident a reproduction copy of Emerald on Macari. It was years ago. I thought I'd sniped a deal because they used a picture that looked really real, and ended up being a repro. And I was like, whatever. Like it was cheap, so I was like, this is on me. I should have assumed it was fake. So I ended up starting to play it because I was buying it to play it. Like I wanted to was working on a Ribbon Journey. And then that wasn't that one.
Oh, no. Okay.
So, but I started it on there, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to trade off. I was going to transfer a Pokemon off of the cartridge onto XD on the GameCube, and it wouldn't let me do it. The game just would not let me do it. It had something to do with it being a reproduction. I don't know. It's like it did not recognize the cable, but the cable worked because I'd already I played Leaf Green and transferred Pokemon onto XD from it. It wasn't the cable. It wasn't the GameCube. It was this game specifically. So like it definitely put a bad taste in my mouth for reproduction cards, even more than I already had.
I guess you can maybe work around that if you traded that to another Game Boy game, like an official one, and then connected it. But still, yeah, no, that is weird.
Yeah,
See,
it just didn't like that. And then when it comes to like, I don't necessarily think of my games like as value, but at the same time, you can't help but think of them as part of their value.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, reproductions are valueless. Like they're not worth anything because they're not real. I guess that there's a little value there, but if you buy a reproduction print of the Mona Lisa, you're not buying the Mona Lisa.
Right.
You're buying a reproduction. So you bought that for $20 and put it in a fancy frame, and that's fine. People do that all the time.
Yeah.
But you're tricking yourself if you tell yourself, I have the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
So
You have access to a version of it.
yeah. And like you said, if that's all they want to do is play it, that's fine. Like it'll work.
Yeah.
But I can't get past the fact that it's fake. It's
Yeah.
not real. It wasn't actually made by Nintendo or whoever else.
And it's not going to work better than an official,
Yeah.
genuine copy. Like those are made, they were made well. Not
Yep.
by, I don't even know how they make those nowadays, but see, like with the weird issue you had with like the transferring thing, you don't know what kind of weird issue you might run into if your game just gets corrupt because it wasn't, the ROM wasn't dumped on it properly or what have you.
Yeah.
There's weird things happen like that with electronics, especially with me. So that's why I just play it safe. I like to play it safe.
It's better safe than sorry. You don't know what you're getting into. And one of my big things too is with reproductions, I truly don't care that they exist if they are clearly marked.
That's the thing,
At
yeah.
least somewhere. But it does bother me when people flood the market with reproductions, boxes, games, whatever, and you just can't tell. You can't. There's nothing. They try to make it so perfect that you can't tell. And some people might be like, "Well, that's good then, because at least it looks so real." But it's not. That's still the problem. Is it's still
know.
fake.
And then just observing the picture online versus having it in front of you, it's a lot easier to tell when you have it in front of you. So
Yeah, I went to a store. This was a while back, probably pre-COVID, and he had behind the counter the Earthbound strategy guide.
Oh.
And I was like, oh man, I have to ask. I was like, I don't have the money right now, but how much? And now, we talked about it for a little bit. And then he started telling me, he was like, yeah, I actually had somebody traded it in and it was CIB. I had the big box and everything and I sold it. And then the person returned it because they had it evaluated by somebody who knows, if it's fake or not.
Oh.
And there's apparently something on the big box. The guide was real, the game was real, but the big box was a reproduction. And it was like there's this one small little typo on it that otherwise you would not have been able to tell. So of course they returned it because they paid probably $1,000 for it. I don't remember what it was, but then why would you pay that much for a reproduction of the thing? Anyway,
Yeah.
but my point being is it's just so scummy to me that people make these reproductions of something to make look so
pass
real.
it off, to trick people,
And
to
if
take advantage.
If, like I said, if it's clearly marked, at least somewhere, it can be small so it doesn't take away from it if you want the reproduction to display still. But somewhere on the back, just say reproduction box, not original. Just small writing. Like I know some people might still miss that, but at least it's on them for not looking hard enough. And that, I don't always even agree with that necessarily, but still, like, if it's when it's not even marked that really bothers me.
Because when I see it, I'm not mad. I'm like, oh, I'm just like, oh, okay, thank you. No, thanks. Make them easier to identify. But then I guess that kind of defeats the purpose of trying to make it as close to the real thing as possible. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's strange, but I don't have anything against people buying them. But I just wish that they was a way to enforce them properly, marking when it's a reproduction, so people don't get taken advantage of. Okay, so then another question for you: digital collecting. Do you consider digital collecting actually collecting?
You're adding to the backlog, that's for sure. But I feel people might feel differently, but I gotta say, I don't think that's collecting. You're acquiring them, but it's not like, I feel collecting is kind of a physical realm type of thing, right? Like, because it doesn't have the same benefits as it being physical. Like I said, you can loan a physical copy. You can display it. And if the device that it's on or the account that it's linked to, if those ever go out, then you lose access to it. Mm-hmm. I guess, you could lose access to your copy of Tony Hawk if it, gets cracked. But I mean, I have trouble. I personally have trouble viewing that as collecting. But if someone, if someone had a big old collection and they were proudly showing off their Steam library or something like that, I'm not going to correct them and say, actually, that's I was like, oh, sweet, dude. Like, I just, I'll talk about it, I guess. But I personally wouldn't view it as that. But I guess they're free to do so.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same vein there. Like, if somebody wants to consider their digital collection a collection, like, I'm not going to correct them. I don't care. I feel like it'd be pretty elitist to say otherwise. If they consider it a collection, why not?
They probably think us, paying way more just because it's in a box,
sure,
is silly. And like I said, I get that. That's totally fine. But yeah, I don't view that as collecting. And then there's nothing wrong because in the end, these are all games still. So
yeah,
we're as long as we're playing them.
Yeah, that's the main point. It's like, it even got talked about a little bit on Discord the other day with Animal Well coming out. Uh-huh. It was like, are you going to buy it now or are you going to wait for the physical? And that's just sometimes that is the case. Like in some cases, if it's a game I really want to play, I'll buy it now and then I'll buy it physically too.
Yeah.
Like
if it's something I love and I want.
Yeah. So like Toja Monreal for me, Back in the Groove was one of those examples. I bought it digital day one because they wasn't getting a day one physical.
Oh yeah. And, I have games that I would.
Yeah. And
go digital first if that was the only option.
But at the same time, like I don't look at my digital collection and think, or all the digital games I have and think like, wow, look at this collection.
I'm proud of this. Yeah.
So most of the time I think, why did I buy that digitally? But
it is cheaper though. So I get it.
Sometimes when they're on sale.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of cases, if you look at digital, the price of a digital game, if it's not on sale, it's still like $20 to $40, and you can go to a store and get it cheaper than that.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
So I don't know. Like I don't consider it. Well, I guess I'll put it this way. I have digital games that I do not take into consideration when I'm talking about my collection.
I don't think of them either.
So personally, I don't know that I consider it collecting, but at the end result is like we both said, like I wouldn't want anybody to feel. I'm not trying to make people feel bad about it if they enjoy it. If that's where I know like Steam libraries are probably fun to build. If you like being on Steam, it's probably fun to have a whole collection of games on there, and your Steam achievements and whatever else you get on there. Like that's probably a lot of fun and very fulfilling to complete that backlog.
And the fact that I think me and you are both the things that we do collect, we do have the intention of playing. So for like certain certain cases, I see something like I did grab things like Tron Bonne and Mega Man Legends 2 off the PS3 store because the alternate is, a couple $100. Tron Bonne's like up there, I think over 400.
Yeah, it's
around
expensive.
there, 300, 400. It's pretty high up there. So I at that, difference, what is it, $5 on PS5, $8 or something digitally? I can put aside my it's not in my collection. It's something that I do want to experience. I do want to play. I can't justify, paying that much for a physical. So I'll take the digital in certain cases like that because ultimately I make some silly purchasing decisions sometimes, but I'm reasonable, for the most part. I'm not going to not play a game that I do want to play just because I don't want the digital one, ultimately like we're playing these games. We are at least.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like the problem sometimes is with a game like Animal Well, I want to play it, and of course it didn't get a physical launch day one, but they announced the physical launch the day it launched digitally. So then I'm like, well now do I want to spend the money on both? Like I haven't played this game yet, but it looks like my kind of game, and I want that physical version. But then like Crow Country came out that same day, and I thought that looked really cool, and there's no physical edition announced for that. So then, of course, I was like, well, why not buy that digitally?
And then when Animal Well comes
Yeah.
out, you can get that physically.
So, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. But generally speaking, my big thing is, for me personally, is the more expensive games, the quote-unquote AAA games. I'm not going to pay $60, $70 for it digitally. I know some people will and are fine with that, and that's fine. But for me, like Tears of the Kingdom, I know this is probably even a little sacrilegious, but I ended up buying it day one, even though I knew I probably wouldn't care for it, or wasn't going to be into it at that moment. I played it for a little while, was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. And then what did I ended up selling it because I got $50 back, and I put it towards something else that I wanted. If I bought it digitally, I couldn't do that.
You don't have that option.
So it's just I don't. So like I'd wanted to play Alan Wake 2, but the fact that it's digital only, like I was just like I can't.
You don't know if you're going to love it.
Yeah, I'm not paying 60. I just literally there's a part of me that just can't get myself to do it. Like I don't know. I don't know what the exception to that is. I feel like there has to be an exception to that, and it just hasn't happened yet.
It's annoying when it should have a physical release.
Yeah, and
but they were stubborn and said no.
It bothers me. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion too, is like the downfall of physical media and stuff, which we've talked about here and there over the years now. But yeah, I don't know. That's something I can't get past yet. Like if it never, we'll just use Alan Wake 2 as an example again. If it never gets a physical release, I'll probably get it digitally at some point when it's cheap enough. Like, but I don't know. I struggle. I struggle with paying that, and that's probably stupid. Like, I can even admit that. Like, it's probably dumb that if the game came out physically, I would have bought it day one. But digitally, it's 6 months and I still haven't played it or bought it. I don't know. I can't explain it completely. It is simply just the fact that if I don't like paying that much for a digital game that I can literally do nothing with once I decide I don't like it or whatever.
Yeah, and like people, there are benefits, right, to having it digital. It's on the console. You don't have to get up off your couch and plop it in the thing or whatever. Or like if you did buy it day one, it's like, oh sweet, you have access to it the second the clock strikes midnight, right?
For sure,
you could play. To me though, like those advantages don't outweigh the disadvantages or the advantages you would get from having a physical copy. Because like you said, you can trade it in, you can let a friend borrow it, and yeah, me personally, it's hard to because there's so many benefits to having physical, and I feel like not everybody has realized that. We see some bad examples happening where like things are either being pulled from the stores or pulled from people's libraries that have purchased this this thing, or like with the Helldivers 2 thing, like in certain countries how that people would lose access to the game that don't have PSN anymore. You know what I'm talking about. People are following me. There are disadvantages that I feel not everybody has realized yet at this point. Same with like movies and such. Like when everyone loves Netflix and all these streaming services, it's like, oh well, cool. It's we don't have to drive all the way to the store to get these movies now. But then when you have the itch to watch a specific thing, and you look it up, and it's like, oh, they took it off Netflix. Who knows when? Oh, well, where is it? Nowhere.
Yeah.
Then what? As opposed to if you had, if you bought the movie, you always have access to it. So that's where I land. I feel people haven't yet come around to seeing how it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not as good as just having physical.
Yeah. I agree. And, some people might say, like, I don't have the room for it. And that's understandable, too. Like, in our last apartment, it's not like we live in a mansion now, but in comparison to our last apartment, it feels that way. Like, I couldn't have bought all the physical media I wanted because we just didn't have room to put it anywhere. But back to the Netflix thing, the other day, Jasmine and I were like, let's watch a movie. Like, what do we want to watch? So she suggested something. I was like, all right, I'll look it up. And, using the Roku app, so it'll tell you where it's streamable. Nowhere. You know, like you have to buy it if you want to watch it or rent it for
Yeah.
too much. So I was like, okay, let's not do that. Like, how about give me another one? Literally 4 movies we went through. And then on the 5th movie, we found something that we could actually stream on a service that we had.
It's like, why am I paying for you guys?
Yeah, and I was like, this
You're
is
not gonna.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, this is completely stupid. Like all of these movies, and they weren't like these crazy obscure movies that nobody's heard of. Some foreign films or something. They were mainstream movies.
Yeah.
Like it was. We were not looking for hard to find or things that should have been hard to find. But I was like, this is stupid. And then I mean, and this was a couple months ago because at the point I want to say we had access to we share some with a few for a few different ones with friends. But I mean, we had Prime, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Peacock, Paramount, HBO, like all these that we have access to. And we were not finding things to stream on any of them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm not paying for all these services anymore.
Is this still convenient?
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
when.
It's not.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, if you want to watch a movie and it's not streamable on I was like, we have one service we use regularly, so we'll keep it, and we'll rotate a second one. Like I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
well,
the way to do it.
I was like, I'm not paying them all anymore. We don't use them all the time anyway. So, it was very much so a moment of I'm done, and I'll buy movies if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
And with the subscriptions going up too, like it makes total sense. Like I can see people going back to acquiring because yeah, and
Their greed has shot them in the foot. It was
Yeah.
perfect, honestly. When it was just a few, it was perfect.
because they had a ton of things on.
Yeah, and I think that if they would have kept that, and all these other people wouldn't have gotten greedy, and they would have just kept outsourcing their
The
material.
licenses and the rights and all. There's always this shifting hands.
Yeah.
And you never know where things are. It's like, okay.
It's ridiculous. I think if they would have kept it the way things were, I probably would have stayed where I was with movies and stuff, and just continued to stream most of it.
Yeah.
But
Because it's nice. There are benefits. There are pros and cons. But now the cons have just kind of
they've officially started to outweigh the pros.
yeah. And so I know this is a video game podcast, but I mean entertainment. Who doesn't like watch movies and like everybody? We all love watching movies. That's something I will shout out. Is like your favorite movies that you want to see. Just track them down. They're probably $5. Like go to Half Price Books. They're giving these things away.
Oh yeah, I got a couple of the newer James Bond movies for $1 a piece the other day at
Nice.
Half Price Books and
Yeah.
Blu-ray too. So
And yeah, you can throw those on whenever. It's so nice
yeah.
to have access to things.
It's nice to be able to watch something when you want to watch it. But
Yeah.
some people may be content just renting it or buying it digitally, and that's fine too. But I'm just sick of having streaming services and not being able to find anything to watch. Well,
Yeah.
the things that I want to watch, I guess.
Like you had one job, Netflix. Took off IT crowd. What's wrong with you?
You have failed me.
Yeah.
All right. So just kind of in conclusion on this topic, do you have any other thoughts, anything else you would like to share as to what kind of a collector you are?
I don't know. That's a big question. I guess I'm a personalized collection collector, I'm not just grabbing all the, greatest games of which speaking of which, like if you do want to get in the whole collecting thing, like or if you're just gaming, like the best games of all time are not expensive. Like there's only a few that are probably like kind of pricey up there just because they happen to be good and they probably didn't sell that well. But like for the most part, like the top games, your what have yous, like they're
Your Super Mario
they're
World.
super they're not
there's
they're
more than
not
Super Mario
yeah
World.
they're not like crazy expensive. Like we pretty much have access, or it's not out of our reach, to get the good stuff that we do want to play. So there's that. And yeah, just the things that I've found growing up and and trying new things, new genres of games, finding what I like, what is my type of video game, what's up my alley, I specifically just want to get those types of things because ultimately that's why I'm collecting, that's why I'm playing them, That's just personalized like Tony Hawk games. I got to get all the Tony Hawk games. I need to play every career, every campaign, every level.
Did you ever get that PC version?
No, I still couldn't figure it out.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah. Well, I could just watch someone play. No, I guess that's different. I don't even know the Korean band Finkel very well, so
But it's
I'm
a fact
not.
that it
I'm not
exists.
hurting. Yeah. I don't even know if I can get that running on my PC. Is the other thing. So.
But it'd be fun to try.
Okay, I'm gonna look into it.
No, I
But
understand
yeah,
what you're saying.
just Jaden stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of like I said, I know that my range is much vaster than a lot of people. Like some people stick into their proverbial lane with what they like to play: sports games, racing games, fighting games. And I like to branch out into all genres at least a little bit. You know, like actually the three I mentioned are probably the three that I tend to branch into the least. But nonetheless, there's still some in each of those that I'm curious or interested in. But I think at the end all be all is like, one thing I'm just kind of sick of is when you go on Reddit or Twitter or anywhere is people judging other people for collecting, like how they collect. And like, it just, at the end of like, whether you understand it or not, like, why does it matter? If somebody wants to buy,
Why are you on that Reddit if you're just gonna
yeah, like just get
make
mad.
fun
Like,
of someone?
if somebody wants to buy graded games, why does it matter? That's still game collecting. Like literally at its title, it's not called game playing. It's called game collecting. And frankly, yes, the goal for most of us is to play our games. But if somebody wants to buy nothing but sealed games or graded games, I don't get it personally. That's not how I want to collect.
That's not my thing,
But it's collecting. They're allowed to do it that way.
that's their thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it's in some area. I've been doing this for a long time, and it feels like it's gotten kind of elitist in a lot of ways recently. But I don't like that. Let people collect how they want to collect. And also too, like I've also noticed a lot of people on the internet, you know, that have started to collect and have gotten burnt out of collecting, and I find that to be kind of strange too, because I think they're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like maybe they went about it the wrong way, or they just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
what were they doing?
It's one thing if you know you're into collecting stuff and then your money situation changes and you either can't keep buying stuff or you have to sell stuff. Those are you can't always help that. But like, you know, when that doesn't change, but all of a sudden you're burnt out of doing it, then you're probably doing it wrong. Maybe reassess how you're doing it.
Or maybe that person with, I'm being general, but like if they just get the strong drive to like, oh, I think I'm going to start, you know, getting into this. But if that was just the reason, you know, just for the sake of it, and then, you know, it kind of fizzles out. You know, maybe that wasn't like your hobby that you really feel deeply, you know, about. Like I still do this after many years. I'm getting more content than I am burnt out on the collecting aspect, you know?
Yeah.
And it's because like I like video games. I've always, you know, growing up, it's just I'm so fond of a lot of these series and experiences. So I personally can't see that, but that's like what you said. It's probably the reason for them.
Yeah. Anybody, if you ever think to yourself you're getting burnt out, then yeah, maybe it's probably you're not in the right hobby. There's nothing wrong with that.
If it's a relatively new thing, although like make sure you don't like give everything away and then regret it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not saying that.
no.
It's probably best to still sell it. I mean, unless you want to give it to us, but yeah. Anyway, just a couple of blanket thoughts at the end, but collecting's collecting. However you collect, just enjoy it and have fun. Yeah. It's still good to play your games sometimes, but you don't have to play the one you have graded. You can play it in a different way if that's what you want.
It's silly. Like
Yeah.
I said, everything's kind of stupid if you think hard enough about it. Like it's like, oh yeah, why that hobby's kind of dumb. Mm-hmm. But just be respectful of other people. It sounds so like this is like a PSA or whatever. Like we're scolding our audience or whatever.
We're here to help you
I don't
guys
know.
be nicer.
Maybe I'm just telling this to myself. I don't know.
No, it's true. I mean, any hobby, anything could be judged by somebody else, but it doesn't. That's not the point. Just have fun.
And let's just let other people have their fun too.
Yep. Please and thank you.
Yes. For the love of goodness.
I'm just so it's like we sound like we're being attacked, and
I
that
know.
literally isn't happening. I hope anybody who maybe has thought that has listened through the end.
Like, man, what did they see recently that made them have to respond?
it's just
Listen,
like-
guys, we're having a.
Yeah, 10 years ago, this might have been a different episode because it happened more where you were made fun of for it. But that's not what I'm saying at all. We're not being attacked.
No. I mean, well, you are, video game. You're a video game collector, I believe. So
hope
you're being part of the scene. It's just the kind of things you see online. So we can't help but interact with or come across it. And this is just our thoughts when. But it's just video games. This is just made to
supposed to
be
be fun.
fun. Yeah.
And I guess that was kind of
So.
the point I was trying to make at the end too, with bringing up like more than anything, the people that irritate me is other collectors who judge collectors. Like, just let people have their fun. Like, why
We're
do you
judging
care?
you now. Why are you
Yeah.
judging?
Stop judging. I'm judging you for judging. There's a lot of judging going
Wait
on
a
here.
second.
I feel like we're talking in circles now, or at least I am. Let's just go back to Power Hour.
Power.
Hour. All right, man. Well, yeah. Now that we've ranted and raved and talked about collecting, let's go ahead and close it off.
Sure. I had a fun time.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. I like video game collecting, and I think a lot of people like it for one reason or another as well. Yeah, and if you like talking about collecting and stuff, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram, X Button Gaming, Twitter, X Button Gaming 1, or join the Discord. We talk a lot of collecting and other video game related stuff on there. So, any final thoughts, Jaden, before we close off?
Have fun, guys. Whatever it is you're doing. If it's collecting, if it's playing part, if it's another hobby, good for you, man. Or women.
Yeah. And remember to always press that. No, I'm just playing. That was the end of the episode. No, yeah, just have fun with what you're doing. And if we sounded like we were like ranting there, I do apologize because I do think it started to sound like that at the end. But
This is the last second, thing. We're just
Our
just
passions
talking.
were coming
these
out
are
strange
These
there.
are just our current thoughts right here in the moment.
yeah. Well, yep. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. What kind of collector do you view yourself? I'd be curious to find out. I'm curious to talk about it. Also, if you ever want to share your collections, I love to see photos or videos of that stuff. It's probably one of my favorite things is to look at people's collections, whether it be on YouTube, like a walkthrough of their room or whatever.
Eye candy.
Yeah,
I can enjoy that from across the, through a screen.
No, I absolutely love it. So, well, yeah. Other than that, just if you're wherever you're listening to this, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to like and subscribe or whatever they call it on Instagram. Nope. What do I stream? Spotify. It's on YouTube now. Hey, if you guys haven't noticed on YouTube, if you listen on YouTube, there's a cool Jaden, here with me right now,
That's
has
me.
been making cool thumbnail photos for it to add a little flair, and he's doing a fantastic job. So
Why, thank you.
double check. Just even if you don't listen on YouTube, go look at the thumbnails. Like, they're really cool.
I get a little carried away.
he's-
I have fun.
Oh, I appreciate it because I ain't creative at all. I was fine with just letting the X sit there and nobody care about it. But now I think people are actually interested. And well, somebody even mentioned it the other day how cool they are. So, but yeah, thanks again, man.
Sure, yeah.
So on that, I will stop rambling and conclude the episode. So yeah, until next time, and remember to always press X to continue.